finished getting ready for class because I have class today at 2:30. So I just finished getting ready for that, and I wanted to talk a little bit about The Boyfriend because finally I started reading that book. I started yesterday. I'm like 25% into the book, and yeah, I have a lot to say. I think this is going to be the boyfriend reading blog because I have a feeling I'm gonna have a lot to say. And yeah, I already do. I'm gonna go more in depth once I get back from school, but essentially, we have two timelines. The first one is the present one, which our main character in that timeline is Sydney. And the second timeline, it's in the past. I don't know how many years, maybe like 20 years in the past. And our main character in that timeline is Tom. And what I have to say about those two is Tom is weird. He's really, really weird. And Sydney, she's annoying. She annoying. But yeah, I don't have time to go more in depth about what I want to say, but I promise I'm gonna give you my opinion with all the spoilers and everything once I get back from school and I keep reading. But yeah. Okay, I hope you guys are prepared because guess what? I finally started The Boyfriend and I come with all the updates, all the spoilers, and everything. Um, so yeah, let's start. First of all, the book has a then versus now POV. I don't really enjoy that, but I guess it is what it is. So, we have two main characters. In the present POV, our main character is named Cindy. She's not named Cindy, she's named Sydney. Sydney? Yeah, like the city, Sydney. Sydney? Is it Sydney or Sydney? Whatever, just like the city in Australia. That's her name. So she has been in this, she has been dating guys. She has been dating guys from this dating website. And when the book starts, she's in a date with a guy named Ed. Mm, That's probably not his name, but that's gonna be his name now. He's named Ed. So the date doesn't go. The date is a disaster, okay? Everything about that date goes wrong. So while she is trying to leave and go home, Ed decides that assaulting her would be a good thing. Because why not? Right? Why not assault a woman that said she doesn't want anything to do with us? Right. So while that is happening, some random ass guy comes in and intervenes. And in Sydney's eyes, I'm so sorry. Whenever I say her name, I'm gonna be confused as to how you pronounce it. Sydney. Because in Spanish, we'd say Sydney. Sydney. Sydney? Sydney. I'm sorry. I don't even know how to pronounce it in Spanish at this point. I'm so confused. But yeah, so I'm gonna call her Sydney, okay? So she sees this random ass guy and she's like, oh my god, he's my hero. He's my savior. I love him. She has an immediate crush on him. And she's like, well, he's super good looking. And like, I have to find this man. For whatever reason, she's obsessed with him. Like, I get it. He saved you. You're grateful. That's one thing. But she is quite literally obsessed with this man, and she would do anything to kind of find him in New York. Girl, you're not finding that man. And if you are, that should be a red flag on its own. But yeah, so couple days go by, and she goes to yoga with her friends. She has two friends. One's called Bonnie, and Bonnie lives in the same apartment as her. Not the same apartment, but the same apartment building as her. And then we have the third one, which I think her name is Bridget. And if it's not, it is now. Um so yeah, Bridget has a boyfriend named Randy. Again, if that's not his name, it is now. I don't know what's wrong with me and names, but yeah. So Bridget and Randy are dating, and they are both like obsessed with each other. But Bonnie doesn't really like Randy. He gets like this weird feeling whenever he's around. And with that name, I probably would too. But then again, maybe that's not his name and I just made that whole thing up. But yeah, Bonnie doesn't really like Randy, but there's no way she's gonna go to Bridget and be like, hey, I have this weird vibe whenever your boyfriend is around, so I don't really like him. She doesn't have any valid reason not to like him, so she keeps that to herself. So after yoga, all three of the girls go to a cafe and they're having some coffee and all that. And then Sydney finally opens up about the mystery man, and they are just like planning different types of way as to how she could meet him again. Not meet him again, like find him. Um, and then we figure out that Bonnie is dating a hot doctor, and she has been dating this hot doctor on and off for a long time, and they're now kind of making it official. So that's what they talk about during their coffee date. So now we have Bonnie and Sydney going back to their apartments, and when they get there, they meet Randy. And Bonnie's like, oh, hey, Randy, I have like this thing wrong in my apartment. Can you actually come and fix it? Because he's the handyman of the whole building. And he's like, I can't right now. There's some issues in some other apartments, but I can come tomorrow morning if that works for you. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. But then she goes on to Sydney and she's like, I don't trust Randy enough to be alone with him in my apartment. So he's coming at 9:30. No, he was coming at so he's coming at 8:30. Would you mind being here at 8:15? That way I'm not alone with him. So they agree on that. Sydney goes back to her house. She goes to bed. The next morning she wakes up, goes to Bonnie's apartment, and like knocks on the door and nobody is answering the door. So she's a bit confused. She's like, okay, you asked me to be here at this time. And Bonnie is usually really like strict with time, so that's the first red flag. So she tries calling her, texting her, still no answer from Bonnie. And at 8:30, Randy shows up because remember, Randy was supposed to show up to fix whatever the hell he was supposed to fix in Bonnie's apartment. So Sydney's trying to convince Randy that they should open the door and just do like a wellness check on Bonnie because it's not like, it's a lot of red flags are going on. So Randy finally decides to open up the door and there's nobody in the apartment. They go searching room by room and finally in her room they find Bonnie dead. So yeah, Bonnie has now died. Rest in peace, Bonnie. So the police comes around and it turns out that the lead investigator is Sydney's ex-boyfriend. Tan tan tan. And said ex-boyfriend, they broke up because he was married to his job. Like his literal words were, I have to be with someone that respects that the first thing that comes, like the first thing, his literal words were, I have to be with someone that respects that the first thing in my life is always going to be my work. What do you mean? Like, what? What? Like, yeah, that's why he's this boy. That's why he's the ex boyfriend, and we support that decision. So that's Sydney's whole story. She's annoying. She is quite literally annoying because the only thing she talks about is finding this mystery guy. Her whole personality is finding that mystery guy. And I have a theory. My theory is the mystery guy is the same guy that Bonnie was dating, so the doctor, and the doctor is the one that killed Bonnie. That's my theory. It's probably wrong, but it's my theory, okay? Okay, next. So, that's the present POV. Now let's go to the past POV. So, in the past POV, our main character is named Tom. Tom is a 17-year-old boy, and his best friend is called Slug because he used to he eats bugs. And one day he decided to eat a slug, and that became his nickname. So, yeah. You can, yeah. I'm so confused about the whole eating bug things. I don't know why that is his whole personality because apparently he still is eating bugs. Like he used to eat bugs when he was a kid, but he is still eating bugs as a grown ass. I was gonna say a grown ass man, but he's 17. Why are you eating bugs at the age of 17? And he's like fascinated with bugs, especially with ants and ant farms. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Wait, actually, side note. Remember that Disney show called Ant Farm? That was a really good show. That was a really weird. That was a really random side note, but that was a really good show, right? Like, do you guys remember that show? That was an amazing show. Okay, back to Tom and Slug. So, Tom has a crush on this girl named Daisy, and Daisy is the daughter of the sheriff, I believe, in that town. I should say about right about now that there is trigger warning for domestic violence. Tom's dad is abusive. Not only, I'm not sure if he's abusive with Tom, but definitely his mom. So yeah, trigger warning for that. As far as I've read, there's nothing too graphic about it, but you can never be too safe. So please take care of yourself, and if it's something that's triggering for you, maybe don't read it. That's the whole situation that Tom has going on at home, and and on top of that, his best friend is named Slug, which I don't know why why that is such a bad thing to me, but yeah. And he only has that one friend, which is sad. But I'm not sad about that because Tom is weird. Tom is actually, he gives me the creeps. The creeps? Is that right? I think it's right. He creeps me out. He's re- he's really weird. So he's obsessed with the human body, but not in the I want to be a doctor type of way. Well, actually, yes. But not in the, oh, I want to be a doctor and I want to save lives and all that type of way. He is obsessed with the ways you can make the body bleed.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
and all the veins and arteries and all that. So he would be narrating, he would be talking, and he's like, well, today I saw Daisy and she was so pretty today, but I could only focus on the little vein that was popping out of her neck. And I couldn't stop thinking about how easy it would be to kill her. Um, Not kill her. He didn't say kill her. He would be like, I can't stop thinking about how easy it would be to like stop her there and make her. Actually, that's a lie. That's a complete lie. He would be like, you know, it would be so easy to stop a person in this place and make them bleed to death. Or this other place, it's really, really vulnerable and you can make them die that way. He's weird. I'm scared of Tom. And on top of that, he is like, well, they and Daisy end up kissing. Daisy is like, oh my god, Tom, you're such a good kisser. And Tom is like, you know what? I know, thank you. I can't. And then in his head, oh no, and then Daisy is like, so was I your first kiss? And Tom is like, yeah. And then in his head, he's like, well, actually, no. But there are only two people in this world that know that, and only one of us is still alive. What does that mean? What? Are you a serial killer? He gives me serial killer vibes. That's what Tom is giving. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now with the book. Actually, now that I'm like 20%, not 20, I'm like 23% into the book. Now that I'm a good chunk of the book, a good, now that I've read, uh, now that I've read 20% of the book, I'm actually really into the story. And my second theory is that Tom is actually the mystery guy who is the doctor who killed Bonnie. That was a lot. But that's my theory, because that would be the only way, in my opinion, and with my theories, that would be the only way to tie them all together. Because why do we have to separate? Like I can get like I can understand the two different type of POVs, like the then versus now, but to have them with two completely different characters, they have to be connected somehow. And for me, the only way they could be connected is by that. And my theory is that Sydney is going to find that mystery guy that is Tom, and they're gonna start dating. And then Tom is gonna try and kill her. Or they are both going to do something weird. Maybe they both decide they want to be serial killers together. Who knows? Who knows? They are both weird, in my opinion. Well, actually, to be fair, Sydney is just annoying. But yeah, those are all my updates for right now. I've been talking, I've been yapping for 20 minutes, so let me shut up.
The next day.
Okay, guys, I am back. I am 50% into the book, and do I have some updates for you guys? I I have notes on my phone with everything I want to say so that I don't forget. And yeah, I have them divided in the present timeline and the past timeline. So let's start. Let's start with the present one. In the present timeline, we have Bonnie's funeral. During the funeral, um, there's an altercation with Bonnie's mom because she feels like Sydney's not helping as much as she could help to get the killer. which I think it's kind of selfish, which I think it's kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's true, but I kind of get where the mom is coming from. She's hurt. She just wants to find who killed her daughter, which is understandable. So while they were all at the funeral, Sydney believes she saw Ed, which, if you guys remember, Ed is the guy she went on a date with and ended up assaulting her. So, fast forward a couple months, Ed just keeps showing up wherever she is, and then he'll act surprised and be like, "Oh, you're here too? What a coincidence! I didn't see this coming." And it's like, "No, you're a stalker. Stop what you're doing. Go home, read a book, do something with your life." I don't know. So yeah, we now have a stalker in our hands. As if we didn't have enough, we have a stalker. What else do we have going on? Yeah, we then have a call with Jake, and Jake is the ex boyfriend and also the lead investigator in the investigation. What? He's also the lead detective in Bonnie's murder investigation. And because he's her ex boyfriend, she ends up calling him, and he decides to be a little bit unprofessional and tell her that the DNA that they found in Bonnie's place, they have also found it in another apartment from another victim. So we have two victims that were killed by the same person, and they don't only have, like, there's not only the same DNA in both crime scenes, but the MO is also the same, because there's something very specific that this person does, which is cutting a strand of hair from the victims and then taking it with him. So yeah, that's weird. Um then we have the coffee date. So a couple months after the funeral, like 3 months after the funeral, Sydney starts dating again, and she's in this coffee date, and she's really enjoying the company of the guy and everything. She's like, "Oh my god, he could possibly be the one. He's so nice. Everything's been like going great. I can see myself on a second date with him." But she has this weird disease. Maybe disease is a bit of a dramatic word. But yeah, she suffers from either random bleedings, or if she gets a cut, she will bleed too much. So she suffers from that, and she gets a random nosebleed. And the guy she's on a date with just faints in the middle of the coffee shop. Which, okay, okay, I guess. Whatever. And then mystery guy comes around to save the day. And he gets her a new t shirt, and he's like, "I'm gonna pay the bill," because the other guy she was on a date with, he basically he he basically fled and didn't even pay or anything. So mystery guy offers to pay for their coffees, and he buys her a new shirt, and then he's like, "Well, would you like to go on a date with me?" And Sydney obviously wants to go on a date with him because she has been obsessed with him. Since she has been obsessed with him since he saved her that night. And yeah, they go on their date, and it's like such a great date, amazing. They have a little kiss, and everybody goes home. Now, we find out that this mystery guy is Tom. Tom from the past timeline, that Tom, which I already knew, but yeah, it made me it makes me feel great that I whatever. I already knew that was gonna be the case, but having the confirmation, it's great. So yeah, that's Tom. And then thinking about it now, my theory is that Ed, which whose actual name is Kevin, well, his real name, we don't know what his real name is, but my theory is that he's Slug, Tom's best friend from the past. So we might have Tom being a serial killer and then Slug being a stalker. That's my theory. And it makes sense in my mind. We'll see if it's true or not. So now, let's go and talk about the past timeline. So in the school, we have this girl named B. I don't know her. I don't remember her name. I just know it started with a B. So we're gonna call her B. B is missing. She has been missing for like 5 months now. Nobody knows anything. And then one random day, her body just appears. So B is not missing. She's actually dead, which is really sad. I'm sorry, B, even though we didn't get to meet you. But yeah, so turns out Tom used to tutor B. And not only that, but remember when he had his first kiss with Daisy, and Daisy was like, "Am I your first kiss?" And he lied to her, and he was like, "Well, the only other person that would know that this is not my actual first kiss is now dead." So he knew she was dead. Did he kill her? I don't think he killed her, but he knew she was dead. And why not report it? That's what I don't get. Whatever. So then we have Allison. Allison is Stacy's best friend, and she, for some reason, doesn't really like Tom and thinks she thinks he's creepy and weird. And she's like, the police think that B had a secret boyfriend, and I saw you and B kissing, so you are that secret boyfriend. So you would be the secret boyfriend, and the police think that the secret boyfriend is the one that killed B. So if I went to the police and told them, "Oh, this is what I know," you would be in trouble. So if you don't want to be in trouble, you have to stop dating Daisy. That was why did I? Yeah, I think I explained it in the most intricate way I could, but that's basically what's going on. So she is forcing Tom to break up with Daisy because she's like, I don't want you to hurt her or anything. Um, I think she may have a crush on Daisy, but I don't know. Maybe that's me seeing lesbians everywhere. I love lesbians. What? What am I talking about? Oh my god, I feel like I'm delirious right now. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me just go back to my notes. So, yeah. Then we have Tom's mom that goes on a trip to whatever. And so he's left alone with his dad. And one day his dad comes home drunk, as always, and he starts saying some not so nice things about Daisy. And Tom gets really, really, really mad and he stabs his dad in the stomach. And at first, he thought that would be enough to kill him, so he did stab him with intention of killing him. But he realized that wasn't going to be enough, so he slit his dad's throat. So Tom is now a killer, which it's not really a surprise. I kind of saw that coming, but yeah, not in that way, actually. The thing is, I don't know how he got away with it because I'm gonna tell you what goes on after, but the in one of the dates in one of the dates he has with Sydney, he's like, "My dad died of a heart attack," but that's not true. So how did he get away with that? Anyway, so he's panicking, he doesn't know what to do, and he just calls Slug. Slug comes over with his truck, and when he sees the scene, instead of panicking or doing whatever or having a normal reaction to seeing that, he's like, "Oh, so you finally killed him," which is weird, but okay. So they wrap the body in the so the body of the dad was in the living room on top of the rug, so they wrapped the body with the rug, and then Slug is like, "I'm gonna need 6 trash bags to cover the truck." And why do you know you need 6? Like, that's such a exact number. It makes me think you are the one that killed B and not Tom. Maybe Slug killed B, and then Tom found her body and for some reason just decided not to say anything to the police. I don't know. That's my theory. But yeah, while they're trying to pick up the body, which is really heavy, and put it on Slug's truck, they realize somebody has been watching them do all that. And that person is Allison. Dun dun dun. And that's where I'm at right now. Right now, I feel delirious, so I think I should stop talking. If I'm being honest, I'm just gonna chill for the rest of the day and watch One Piece. And my game plan is to. I'm 50% into the book now, so I'm gonna read 25% tomorrow, which that would put me at 75%. And then on Sunday, I will read the 25% that I should have left. And that way, I have Monday to just edit and do whatever I want to do. So I'll see you guys tomorrow when I have more updates to give you.
Much later.
I'm gonna try and make this update as quick as possible because I don't want to be sat here for like 15 minutes. It's late. I just finished reading the 25% I was supposed to read today, so I'm 75% into the book. And yeah, so I'm gonna be finishing it tomorrow, but I just wanted to do a quick update right now before going to bed because everything is fresh on my mind. And that way it would be better in my opinion. So let's just start let's start with the past timeline. So Allison saw Slug and Tom put something on the truck of the car. She doesn't know what it is, but while they're driving to the to where they're going to get rid of the body. Slug is talking about how Allison, she's gonna be a nuisance because she saw them and they don't know how much she actually saw of the whole thing. So just to be safe, they have to get rid of her. Tom doesn't want to do that because Allison is already blackmailing him. So it's not like the greatest look, to get rid of her. And he doesn't actually think she saw anything important, at least not important enough that it would make them have to get rid of her. The thing is, Allison disappears the next day, and maybe 2 days later or one day after she disappears, her body is found. So now Allison is dead. We know Tom didn't do it, but we don't know who did it. I'm looking at Slug kind of sideways because it was his whole idea to get rid of Allison, and now Allison is dead, coincidentally, but we don't know who actually did it. The police are investigating. Daisy's dad is kind of suspecting Tom of being B's secret boyfriend, and he knows that him and Allison didn't have a great relationship and that Allison actually kind of hated Tom. So he's looking at Tom sideways. He kind of has reasons to, and he doesn't want Daisy dating him anymore. So we have that going on. And what else? Oh, yeah. So Tom's mom is back and she's asking about her husband, and he hasn't been to work. He hasn't been to work in like 2 days. He left his phone at a bar, and she's asking Tom like, "Hey, where is your dad? You said you saw him this morning. Where is he?" And then Tom is just like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe he went somewhere." And then his mom is like, "But where would he have gone? His car is still here." So yeah, they're playing that game, and then they hear a knock at the door, and it's actually Daisy's dad, so the police officer. He has some questions for Tom, and he has he wants to check if he has an alibi because Allison went missing the night that he killed his dad. So he has an alibi, but he kind of can't say what his alibi is. He can't be like, "You know what? I do have an alibi. I was murdering my dad that day." So I don't know what happened to Allison. You know what I mean? So yeah. Then the detective kind of sees a speck of blood in the sofa or somewhere. And then Tom's mom is like, "You know what? If you want to take a sample of this or whatever, you're gonna have to come with a warrant." So yeah, I think Tom's mom knows and she's just covering for him, but she's not stupid. Like 2 plus 2 is 4. Your son was alone with your husband and now your husband is missing and there is blood and the rug you loved is also missing. So yeah, 2 plus 2, as I said, is 4. And if it gives you 5, then you're dumb. And she's not dumb. So that's where we are in the past perspective. And in the present one, everything is kind of boring. I don't like Sydney. She's annoying. She only cares about dating Tom and blah blah and Tom and this and Tom that and Tom blah blah blah. She's annoying, okay? She is annoying. But we have had some revelations, shall I say. So the first one is that Randy doesn't actually have an alibi for the night that Bonnie was killed. So, what was the name I gave the other friend? I don't know. Her name is Bridget. I don't I don't remember the name I gave her, but her name is Bridget. So Bridget lied to the police and said that Randy was with him all night while he actually wasn't. So we don't know what Randy was doing. And instead of going to the police and being like, hey, this dude does not have an alibi and he has a key to Bonnie's apartment. So he could have easily gone into the apartment and done something to her. Instead of going to the police, she's like, but Bridget, she loves him so much. Should I really do that? And she doesn't go to the police. Like, what do you like? She's such a shitty friend. Because what do you mean your friend is dead and you're not going to go to the police to report that someone lied about having an alibi for that night? Are you dumb? Like, actually, are you dumb? Are you like dense? I don't I don't want to talk about Sydney. I'm not like I'm not yeah, me and Sydney are not getting along right now. What else do we have going on? That's basically the main thing. And then that Tommy is acting weird. He has two phones. He said his last name was something, then it turns out it's not that, it's a completely different thing. Then he lied about working in one hospital while he actually works at another one. So we just have Tom being Tom. Oh, and when she asked him, "Oh, have you ever been in love?" She then one in one of their dates, Sydney asks Tom if he has ever been in love, and Tom says yes, with a girl from high school. And then he said, "I wanted to marry her and everything." And when Daisy and when Sydney asks what happened to her, he's like, she died. And I'm like, what do you mean Daisy died? What is going on? Why does everybody around you die? You're like, what? Either he is like, I was like, either he's a killer or he just brings bad luck to people. But he is a killer. He killed his dad. So maybe he brings bad luck to people on top of being a killer. I don't know. So those are the updates for now. It has been pretty chilled compared to like other parts of the book. And what I realized is that I'm actually enjoying this book more than any of her other books because inside Frida McFadden's book and how ridiculous some of the things that happen are, this one is pretty tame. This one is pretty mild. Everything is quite believable apart from some of the decisions the characters make. Everything that goes on could possibly happen in real life, you know? And that was my thing with her books. They're so ridiculous sometimes that they take me out of the story. And when I'm reading a story, I want to be immersed in it and I want to feel like whatever is happening, it can happen in real life. Like I'm inside that world and I believe 100% that these things are happening. But with some of her other books, like The Housemaid, that book was so out there that it was impossible for me to believe that. Yeah, I was like, no, No. First of all, the plot twist, I guessed all of them, so that wasn't fun for me. But then it was just so out there. And the actions and everything, every character did in that book was questionable. Even the kid was questionable. So, yeah. But I'm having fun with this book and I'm happy with that. So, yeah, that's my little update for right now. And I'll see you guys tomorrow once I'm done with the book.
One eternity later.
Hello, guys. It's a couple days later, and I'm back with the final update for this book. And let me tell you, that last 25% was a ride, and not a really good one at that. So, let's start with the rating. I ended up giving the book 2.5 stars. It was, the ending was a lot. So, I'm just gonna go through everything kind of real quick because I don't want to make this video super long. It's already long enough. But yeah, it turns out the person who was killing all these kids in the past timeline was Daisy, and it was not Slack or Tom. So Daisy killed B, and she also killed Allison because. So she killed B because she was kissing Tom and she got jealous. So the appropriate thing for her to do was apparently killing her. Then she killed Allison because she wanted to boycott their relationship and she was blackmailing Tom into breaking up with Daisy. So, yeah. Then he ended up killing Slug because I don't know why she killed Slug. I think she needed him to like take the fall for the murders of the girls, and that's why she decided that killing him was a good idea. So she lured him out, then killed him, and painted as if it was self defense. And Tom discovers all of this, and she decides to not say anything to the police. Basically, just go with Daisy's plan because he loves her apparently, and love it's bigger than crimes and committing murders. And in his mind, his love for Daisy it's bigger than all of that. Apparently, whatever. Then in the present timeline, we have Sydney almost dying because, well, Sydney almost dying. Then we have Randy dying, and it turns out the person who was killing all these girls in the present timeline as well was Daisy, whose name is Bridget. So if you remember, Sydney had two friends, Bonnie and Bridget. Bonnie was murdered by someone, and then we have Bridget who was dating Randy. So yeah, Bridget is Daisy. Apparently, Daisy was like a nickname or something. And yeah, so she kills Randy. So Randy can take the blame for all the other killings, just like she did with Slug. So she kind of has an MO at this point. She's a serial killer and she has an MO. And in the beginning, Tom was trying to save Sydney and be like, oh my god, no, Daisy, you can't continue doing this. And like, blah, 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 you have to stop. Because apparently, Daisy has killed every single girl Tom has dated. So he's like, you have to stop with all of this is not okay, and all that stuff. But then Daisy's like, I know you, I know who you are and what you stand for and what you are. and I know how obsessed you are with blood and how you get turned on when you see Sydney bleed and blah blah blah. And she starts saying all of these things, and then she's like, "We can make a family, like you and me. We can be together and form a family and just live happily ever after," basically. And in that moment, I was like, okay, so Tommy's gonna snap out of it and tell her, no, the police are coming. I called the police, so stop. But no! He's like, okay, okay, yeah, I love you. I'm gonna call with you. Yes, why not? Um, and he's like, well, I have one condition, and my one condition is that you have to let Sydney leave. So Sydney is alive, thanks to Tom, I guess. And then Tom is like, but if we go together, you have to stop killing. And Daisy's like, oh, but what if they're a bad person? And then Tom is like, you know what? Then if they deserve it and they're a bad person, of course you can keep killing people. Because why not? You know? So yeah. Those two go and live their lives, and they end up killing Ed. I think it's Ed. The guy who was stalking Sydney, they ended up killing him and sending a note to Sydney. And Sydney, instead of like reporting it to the police, she's like, oh my god, thank you. That was so nice of you. I cannot stand these people. And she goes back. She gets back with Jake, so they are dating, and that's the end of the book. So yeah, I didn't see the Bridget being Daisy thing coming. I didn't see that coming, honestly. But it wasn't. It was, for me, it was all over the place. Like, the ending was all over the place. I couldn't keep up with it. It was way too, like, overdone, if that makes sense. Just for the sake of. It was, like, complicated just for the sake of being complicated. And yeah, that's kind of why her books ended up. That's why her books end up, like, losing me. It's pretty much always around the 75% mark where everything, like, kind of gets, like, when you're kind of discovering everything. For me personally, it's a lot. It's way too much. Like, girl, you're doing way too much. You need to calm down. You need to have a seat, have a cup of coffee, relax, and maybe then go back to the drawing board. Because what is this? So yeah, I ended up giving it 2 stars. 2.5, I think I said at the beginning. Yeah, 2.5. And I'm just like, would I ever read another one of her books? Probably. Am I gonna enjoy them? Are they gonna be more than a 3 stars? No, not for me personally. But they are quick reads, and in my opinion, they're like nice to have in between longer books. Or like, yeah, they're nice to read in between longer books. So yeah, I'll keep maybe reading them for that sake. But yeah, I'm not a fan. That's all for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and had a good time, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye!